Hello there guys. Today I'm going to be introducing you to a game that goes by the name of Skyward Collapse. It's a god game where you control two factions on a floating plane. The game is based on Greek and Norse mythology, which factors into every part of each of the two factions. The buildings, the technology they use, the military units, and the mythological creatures that come into play down the line. And those mythological units are actually the only ones that you can directly place. Other units are created by structuring towns properly, by creating the right barracks and siege buildings in order to create foot soldiers and archers and siege weapons, but all three of these units will vary from faction to faction. Each faction has a different version of them. And these units will be created once you have fulfilled the amount of resources required by a building that produces them, by placing, for example, lumber and then a carpenter in order to make enough wood to go into construction, and then putting down some iron in order to make, for example, battle axes that will arm the soldiers that you're fighting with. Or, well, I shouldn't say you're actually fighting with them because you really aren't. It is a game where you do not have any direct control over the units and they will fight each other on their own. But the two factions that you create will end up fighting each other, and they'll end up fighting bandit camps that get placed on the map periodically. So the goal of the game is basically to survive and prosper. You need to do this on both sides of the map equally, as said map grows bigger and bigger, land showing up from midair, either on its own or with your help. If one side gains too big of an advantage, they can destroy the other, but if either side isn't strong enough, bandits will spell trouble. What you can do to indirectly control all of this isn't small by any means. You have to add on to and restructure villages in order to adapt to circumstances, and make sure you summon mythological creatures and such at the right time, and you don't want to do that too early in the game because it would just unbalance the game completely. You want each side to have their own real army before you do that. Other than bandits, different kinds of trouble will come into play in the form of woes, which are natural disasters kind of that you have to work around. For example, I had one where the ground was falling out beneath my feet, and there's plenty of others of similar and different nature. But it's just another element to watch out for and to work around. The game doesn't look bad, but I would not rank it among the highest. There's pretty much no animation at all, which is not the best thing in the world. It is functional though, and I don't consider it to be straight up ugly. In terms of other complaints, well, the game just isn't the most polished thing in the world. Not just in terms of visuals, mechanically the game just isn't, and a lot of things about the game isn't made. I think the tutorial they give explains the very basics well enough, but things like, I don't really get how units work, how they choose their targets. It might be semi-random, but I'm not really sure how some of the systems in the game work. I don't know. In general, I think the game probably could have used a little more time in development, but it's still a solid game if you're willing to invest some time into it. Overall, I think it has a few interesting ideas, some of which deliver and some of which don't. I'll recommend it to fan of god games or management sims, at least ones that don't mind a little jank. That's about all for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I have been Maple Dungeons, and I will see you next time.